Good morning, young men and young women.
Good morning out there, everybody.
And hello to all of you. Good morning, this beautiful Sunday morning. Welcome to Cornerstone. And we are the Sawyers, in case somebody comes in and doesn't recognize who we are and doesn't know who we are. I am Clifton. I always want to say I am Clifton. You are Clifton, and I am Tony.
You had it right. You had
Or
it right.
Antoinette Sawyer.
Yeah, that's right.
We are the founders of Cornerstone Life Center. And we are here for another heart to heart with you guys this morning. Glad you're coming in to be with us. I posted an announcement, and I'll post it again sometime during the broadcast, that we will not be having a service on Christmas Day, which is Sunday, but we will be having our service on Christmas Eve at 7:30. That's on a Saturday, that Saturday night. And we will be doing our service at that time. And so you guys can have your Christmas all to yourselves. And then we will discuss how we're going to go forward. In the next service will be on Sunday, would be in January. That will be New Year's Day. So anyway, I'll announce it again sometime today, but I'm glad to have you guys here.
Yeah.
Good to see you. Let's see who's first today. Who's the early bird? Let's see. Sissy and brother-in-law. Hey, y'all. And there's James Dixon and Sandra. And there's Vern. Hey, sweetie. I wanted to talk to you about how things went with the doctor. And then there's Kim. Happy birthday, belated birthday to you, Kim.
Yeah, happy birthday.
Yeah, I know you had a birthday this week. Yeah. And Dee Dee and George. Hey, y'all. And Brother Blue and the family. How are you this morning? And there's Jill. Hey, sweetheart. We hope you and the girls are doing good. Pastor Norman, all the way down in South Carolina. Thanks for coming in.
Everyone.
There's Sadie. Hey, Sadie. And there's Kelly. How you doing, Miss Kelly? And Brother Kessler, it's good seeing you yesterday, Brother Kessler.
Good to see you, all of you guys.
Yeah, Leslie, glad to have you in here, all the way from Pittsburgh. And there's Miss Sue. Hey, sweetheart. Good to have you this morning.
Miller.
Keisha, I had you on my mind. So glad to see you with us today. And then there's Leslie said, starting to drive home so Dad can join. Okay. So her dad can join us. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. And Sadie said her birthday was Friday. Happy birthday to you,
all of
Sadie.
You out there.
And I think Sandra had it was Kiara's birthday. Okay, Kim. Thank you for letting me know. I know it was one of you guys. I knew it was one of you. And what was I about to say? I forgot what I was going to say. I think Sandra Ortiz had a birthday this week. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm trying to keep up. I need an assistant. Anybody want to be my assistant? Anyway, I'm glad to have you guys with us this morning. Good morning, Sharon. Let me get baby girl quiet. She hears something, sees something. She goes to barking.
She goes off.
Here. Hey.
She don't think anybody's supposed to come past the house.
She sees the mail truck.
Yeah.
Here. Close the blind. Now. Okay.
Good. Miss Pearl, good to see you, Mr. Joe.
Yeah. Hello, Joe. How are you? Good morning to you guys. Again, baby girl is going to be barking because she's hearing the mail truck and UPS and the Amazon trucks, and people are getting their shipments and stuff. But if you hear her, just ignore her. She's just doing her dog thing. What you gonna talk about today? You know?
Well,
I got something. I just wanted to. Good morning, Sean. Let's see. What do we want to do? Let's do an affirmation. All right. And if you would and you like us, go ahead and hit the like button now. And that would be good. We can get that out of the way. And we'll do it again later on in the broadcast. But let's center in for now. Let's center in and acknowledge the truth about ourselves. And if you aren't busy, I would like for you to just sit still. If you are busy, I'd like for you to just sit or stand still for just a moment as we do this. And you can either repeat it after me or you can just listen. And here we go. My heart opens when I see Christ in myself and as myself. I am awakening to this truth that sets me free by showing me that I am already free. I have looked for God and found myself. I've looked for myself and found God. My heart, which is the heart of God, is now open and exposed. I allow all beliefs, defenses, and accumulated knowledge to be suspended so that I can embody this truth. I lay down all beliefs about God, myself, and others. The veil of my conditioning is being stripped away, and now the concept of myself is being removed. And there is a divine impartation of knowing. Knowing the truth is my point of recognition of what I am. I am the same essence as God. Seeing God within myself, I find that God is seeing himself. The awareness that I use to see God is the same awareness that God uses to see me. And I am witnessing the uncovering of the self that I am. And so it is. And so it is. All right. Well, one more time, I'm going to announce this. We, on Christmas, this year, Christmas falls on Sunday. So we will not be having a Sunday service, but we will be doing our service on Christmas Eve at night at 7:30. So I'm hoping you can join us then. And I will announce it again at some point in the live stream. Good morning to the rest of you guys who come in, Phyllis and Edward. Good to have you guys this morning. Okay, you ready?
I'm ready.
You okay? What are you doing out there?
I'm straightening out my shirt. Salvation or being saved is being released from the ego or being able to recognize the false self. Salvation is being who God is from all angles. We miss God because he is the breath of our physical suits.
Okay.
Now, we never lost our true identity
Right.
as the eternal essence. I need to stop and say this to all of you. I am talking to you guys from an altered state of awareness, which is finding out who we really are apart from the physical suit. In order to talk this way, you have to alter your thinking, which means you have to break the, I would say, break the separation awareness and begin to speak from, in first person, the part of you that can never die. So that's something that has to be cultivated in a world that has believed that it has to apply things. If you don't apply your oneness identity, your eternal self, you're not going to be able to find out what it's like being spirit in this body, because most of us, 99.9%, I say, in this dimension, is set up to believe that even though we go to funerals and we see bodies in boxes and caskets, there's something of a trick in this dimension that says that body is us. And it's not. It's not us. It is a part of us, but it's not the finality of us.
Right.
And I'm saying this to you because a lot of people have not found out how to divide this up. And we used to teach spirit, soul, and body and that kind of stuff, but that does not hold any weight when it comes down to the awakening of your true identity as oneness.
And that's true, because at some point, while we learned in the past about spirit, soul, and body, and we took those different aspects of our being and taught on that and taught from that, we now realize that there has to be an integration to take place. And that integration can't take place if we remain fragmented.
Yeah. Now, the reason why Jesus appeared to certain people was because of duality. But once you understand duality being removed and replaced by the consciousness of oneness, Jesus does not see himself as a separated entity, again, in, through, and by us. Let's say it like this. We are heaven to him and he's heaven to us.
Yes.
But as long as we walk this walk, and I have to understand that some people are not going to wake up to this because they chose to come here and not wake up.
Exactly.
And there are many of us that came here already awake. And there's many of us that have come into this dream world to find out what it's like to be asleep. There was a case I was listening to this morning of a man's father who crossed over, who passed, and his daddy was coming into the room at night and checking in on his son to finally communicate with him about what really takes place when spirit, real us, separates from the fleshly suit. The dog in the room reacted to the presence of his father because the dog could see him. And I say it like this: the dog shouldn't be able to see more in the spirit world than we do, but it seems that way.
Yeah.
Understand, no inhibitions are in the dog, and they are already operating in the spirit realm because they can smell and hear things that our physical ears don't hear, that should hear the things that they hear and see.
Yes.
But it's a great reward to understand the full potential of your abilities of an infinite being, because to me that is one of the greatest experiences in the physical suit. So now we are beginning to understand that God is playing all bases.
Yes.
On this baseball team.
Yes.
And I think that once we deliberately go into the settlement or the finalities of the contract, we will understand that everything that take place here, we went over it like Jesus did. And you go in the book of Revelation, I think it talks about that but we went through everything in this dimension before coming here. So we knew our fathers, our mothers, and the friends that we gonna meet and have meeting today, and the ones we're talking to now. And now here's again, you got to go spirit to hear this.
Yes.
We met each other before coming here on this site this morning, and you will meet others. The last months or so, excuse me, please. I have been having the experience of seeing people in my sleep and different events. Some of these things I see are dark in the sense that I know they're from a low vibrational frequency of the conditioned mind self.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I know the difference.
Mm-hmm.
And as you begin to move into this union with everybody and everything on earth as spirit, the veil begins to get very thin, and your conversations will erupt into the easy way of understanding spirituality without any obstructions.
Mm-hmm.
I like the word obstructions. And when you understand this, even obstructions and interference is only an opportunity for a greater revelation of insight of the the spirit world that where we all came from, and you'll understand how God and we assisted in the participation of all things to take place for His glory. Now, God is talking and moving all the time, and that there is no breaks between Him and us except for the duality awareness consciousness that we are not where God is, and we got to get to where God is, and we have to do certain things to move the blocks out of our life.
Yeah, and all of that comes from our concept of God, or our misconception of God, where because God has been a concept to us, we don't really know how to see God because the mind can't conjure an image of God, and therefore when we say the word God, many of us have some internal image come up, even if it's not an image. It's a feeling that God is remote from me, or if
remote, I like that.
Yeah, word. Remote from me, or if God is in me, but God is dormant in me. Yeah. So, and I think dealing with the dormancy, the feeling of God being dormant, is where a lot of us live.
Yeah.
In our conscious and awareness.
It just came in. We are doing now what's called transcendent or transcendent talking, or transcendent seeing, or transcendent awareness, and that's the way you really should proceed into the walk of the Spirit.
Yeah, and that's bringing God to where we are. And it's
wow, I feel that. I hear
because
the witness.
Like I said, even if we have the understanding that God is within us, a lot of times our feeling is that God is dormant inside of us and not active. And what we've come to understand in our own spiritual walk is that feeling of dormancy is not true. God is not inactive. In fact, when you act, it is God acting.
This activity of God and the non-doing, non-aggressive self or identity, here's the moving. You might call it inertia or natural the blood that flows through the veins, the heart that beat, the hair that grow, the eyes that see.
Mm-hmm.
That is all the gift of beingness, the gift of
Yeah.
God.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we in second nature, what you want to call it, we don't pay it any attention because it's just like everybody ought to do it. But he did say in John 3rd in the book that except a man be born again, he cannot see. So that means seeing is beyond just an experience of being saved. Being
Yes.
saved
Yes.
is really being set free to see the whole truth
Mm-hmm.
of
Mm-hmm.
our
You,
true identity.
you and I were talking about this just before we went live about the conscience and having confidence toward God. And I want to read this scripture from First John, if you don't
Yeah,
mind.
go
You
ahead.
just said John 3, and that's
Yeah,
where it is.
yeah.
It's in St.
Go
John
do it.
3.
Mhm.
And I'm going to read from the 19th to the 22nd verse. It says, and by this, and by the way, this is in the Lamsa Bible, it's not the King James. And by this we shall know that we are of the truth and shall assure our hearts before he comes. The 20th verse says, for if our hearts condemn us, how much more then will God, who is greater than our hearts and knows all things? My beloved, if our hearts do not condemn us, then we have confidence before God.
Mhm.
And whatever we ask, we receive from him because we keep his commandments and do those things that are pleasing to him. And we were talking about this morning,
Sure was.
how that
That's good.
the fasting and the praying and all of the exercises we do, spiritual disciplines that we do, is all to give us a sense of confidence before God, not so much to appease God, because
Right.
God isn't really asking for it, but our conscience.
Yeah, that's what we talked about this morning.
Our conscience is not clear. And when it talks about if our heart condemns us or doesn't condemn us, he's talking about the subconscious mind. If the subconscious mind, your subconscious is holding something over on you, you won't have confidence. So this is where the spiritual disciplines come in.
It's the smell of the black box.
Yeah, this is where all of the prayers and the meditations and the fastings and all of the spiritual exercises give you confidence, because you then feel a sense of clearing of that conscience. Boy, you're really yawning today. You really are you sleepy?
I just
you didn't sleep much though, but you're okay. You're fine. But yeah, so it's our conscience that condemns us or calls us to feel as if as if we don't have the confidence before God. And then I remember there's a scripture in Romans where it says, there is therefore now no condemnation to those who are in Christ Jesus. So it's not by doing the spiritual disciplines that the guilt is removed. It's by the knowing of where and who Jesus Christ is inside of you that removes the guilt.
A non-conviction of conscience can fall in two different categories. You can fall into a category where a cold heart or dead conscience, or you can fall into an oversensitive conscience, or you can fall into a consciousness or a conscience that does not bring about any judgment or condemnation. Now, this that we're talking about comes from the school of eternal realities. These are master statements about the mystical side, which is the simple awareness of our divineness. And that does not divineness does not promote you to be or graduate you to a state of being better because you hear the definition of divineness. But it humbles you. There was a person that was standing in front of Jesus on the other side, and he did not allow them to drop to their knees. In some he does, but this person was embraced by him, and when he embraced him, his heart being pure love.
You must be getting delivered today. Are you getting delivered today?
the pure heart love that Jesus went into this person's spirit beingness. And the heart of Jesus was so overwhelmed with love that it made that person on in the spirit world feel like they was going to explode and that they couldn't contain all of that identity of love and forgiveness. So now,
Sean has a comment. She said, old teachings say we have to do those spiritual disciplines to stay saved. And that's the reason some churches have an altar call. Yeah. And a lot of us did it also, Sean, as we said before, to have confidence, because we didn't feel that connection unless we did that.
That's right.
So, and we lived by that feeling so much.
That's a good one, Ms. Sean, because one's conscience is free of darkness and having to be rehabilitated.
That altar, I like that.
The rehab center is really rampant in this dimension.
Yeah, it is. That's why there's so many self-help books.
Now what you're saying is putting all things in place. Let's say it another way. It's called waking up to everything is never been out of place until something took place or something imposed itself on conscious to give off the idea that we have to do something to match up.
And some people don't gain that confidence by doing spiritual discipline. Some people gain that confidence by helping other people.
That's right.
They think if they do all the things they need to do for other people, some to the point of even their own detriment, because they'll give away their money that they need to live on, to help other people. And it's because they feel like when they do that, they're more connected.
I am aware that every one of us, when we leave these bodies, we all will go through the same experience of finding out that there's a part of us that has been shed off. There are some people who are so attached to the physical fleshly suit that when they leave their bodies, they are so identified with it, even though they're outside of it, that they are still physical to the
in their thinking. In their thinking,
and they still feel like they are attached to the things they left behind. And I've seen this take place in the spirit realm, and I've been around many. Of course, matter of fact, if you go anywhere, you're gonna find most people are like that.
In the Course of Miracles, I found something where the Course of Miracles says all that must be recognized is that birth was not the beginning, and death is not the end.
Boy, that's good. That's good. That's grown folks.
Birth is not the beginning, and death is not the end.
Okay, so we all are God's breath.
Yes, type that in. Birth is not the beginning, and death is not the end. Type that in.
That's pretty good.
Type that in if you will.
Wow,
birth is not the beginning, and death is not the end.
John, you can type pretty fast there. That's pretty good.
Yeah. Type it in, guys.
Sister Snipes, you're doing pretty good.
Type it in.
All right.
Birth is not the beginning, and death is not the end.
Here's the thing that
Nathan did it easy. He said ditto.
Oh, that's pretty good. Nathan,
got you, Nathan.
That's pretty good.
Glad you're with us. Good. Thank you, Valerie. Thank you.
The next time you have a talk with God, have a talk with him from the place of the conversation that is taking place at the place of the event
Yes.
of the conversation. It's right there. We're doing it now.
Yes.
We are having what is called face-to-face encounter God conversation, analogies and awareness in our voice. It don't have to go outside and reach the ceiling. It is the voice of God is our true voice conversation right
Yes.
now.
Yes, you know,
Talking.
and I wanted to mention Pastor Norman reiterated the last part of that where he said death is not the end.
Mhm.
It is not the end. And
Yes.
that's one of the
Mhm.
things that you have constantly emphasized and re-emphasized about
Mhm.
by bringing us
Mhm.
into the understanding of a lot of the near-deathers. When
Yeah.
they leave their bodies, that is not the end. In fact, many of them go on to experience different realms and different planes of existence and all of that. So it's, and one man I remember, I don't remember his name because we look at so many, but he was a Christian when he had his near death experience. And when he came out of his body, his understanding based on his beliefs was that you come out of your body, if you lived according to the scriptures, you go directly into heaven. Well, he didn't go directly into heaven.
Mhm.
He went to a lot of different planes of
Mhm. I remember.
existence
Yeah. You
and
did.
gained quite a bit of spiritual understanding and knowledge because he was unaware of the things that were on that in
Mhm.
more vast than what Christianity has taught.
We all. I heard him, the same man, say had a chance to see the facilitators
Mm, mm,
that worked
mm,
with all of us before
mhm, mhm.
uh, the actual transfer of awareness to this this what do you call this world? This, it's not a conflict, but it is a world of the school. This
It's
is a
school.
school,
Yes,
yeah,
this is
this
an earth
training
school.
school
It is
for spirit
definitely,
beings,
definitely an earth school.
and we are fully equipped when we
Mm-hmm,
come
mm-hmm.
for everything that is agreed upon. I understand agreements. These things are what we made out of. We, oh boy,
Yeah,
we have
yeah.
never ever disagree or distance our degree, or we have never distanced ourselves in a percentage of degree away from God deliberately.
Right. The separation is only an
No,
illusion.
we
Yes,
we
it's only
didn't
an
we didn't
illusion.
we did not distance agree to distance except for it being an asset to bring about the full awareness in this distance duality world
Mm-hmm,
of
mm-hmm,
the fullness of God in the
mm-hmm,
midst
mm-hmm.
of separation awareness.
Yeah, separation consciousness.
Mm,
Yeah.
mm,
Can I read something
Yeah,
out
go
of this?
ahead. Go
This
ahead.
is from a book that was written by Wayne Dyer back
Hmm.
some time ago
Hmm.
called Inspiration, and I just thought it might be good to read a little bit of it.
Hmm.
He says this: staying in this glorious state of inspiration requires me to avoid condemning others.
Yep.
I look at the behaviors of others, even those whose actions are wrong, to an inspired world, and I send them love.
Hmm.
I know deep within me that declaring war on
Hmm.
problems of violence, poverty,
Hmm.
cancer,
Hmm.
AIDS, drug addiction isn't the solution.
Okay.
I'm uninterested in increasing those problems with more violence and anger and hateful thoughts or behavior. I know that I can't get sick enough to make one person better or angry enough to end violence anywhere. I also sense very strongly that by staying in spirit or inspired and bringing a higher mental energy to the presence of these lower ego based energies, I am a force for change, one that helps move the world closer to spirit.
Mm, mm, mm. Okay. Now, our
Now,
families.
can you
Yeah, go ahead.
give me a chance to do
Yeah, go
this
ahead, go
comment.
ahead, go ahead.
Jill says, I saw myself beam into this dimension and saw myself being to another dimension after this one. Heard the collective talk to me about being there, and I was a beam of light.
Mm.
And that's exactly what we are. That's exactly what we are. In fact, we are already in other dimensions because we're multidimensional
That's true.
beings. There are aspects of us that are already in those other
Now,
dimensions.
you know, we're talking grown folks talk.
Mhm, mhm.
This is not, we're not talking the first grade and kindergarten.
Yeah. I remember very distinctly when our sweetheart Ada Mackins was
Yeah.
here with us when she was going through her transition. She said while she was in the hospital, she had gotten very sick and was battling cancer. And she called us. She called us almost every day.
Yes, she
When
did.
we didn't call her, she beat us to it. And so this particular time, she said she saw herself standing in the doorway.
Yep, she did.
Looking at herself. And she was wondering why she saw that. And but that is another, that's evidence that we are multidimensional. There was a self that it was looking back at her in the body.
And her body, fleshly suit, asked the question what through her mind. Am I going to die? I didn't say anything to her about that. I wasn't about to.
No, because it wasn't for us to say.
No, but we could tell. We could feel. We
Yeah.
could sense.
And so that was very evidence that was the evidence that there are other aspects of us. And Sean says, I am more active in other dimensions than the physical. I think all of us are, particularly at night when we're asleep. We're actually moving away from our bodies. We're not really in our bodies at that point.
Miss Short, I want to know, I'm going to ask the question with you. How did you find this out? I am more active in the other dimension than tell me something now. How did you find this out? Now you're talking real meat and
well, a lot of us have had
steak
that
and
same.
potatoes, there, girl.
But a lot of us have had that experience.
Yeah.
You know, we could say that we've been more active in other dimensions than you definitely are.
What
more active in other dimensions than you are in the physical.
I had a conversation. Well, you heard it last night. I was in my sleep. I was able to tone my voice communication down in the spirit, what to keep from waking you up. There was a boy that lived in my neighborhood. His name was Wayne. And Wayne and his sister had two sisters, and he ended up driving the city bus in the neighborhood where we live. And in the experience of traveling in my sleep, I came to a place on a street corner or somewhere where he was standing. He was doing something, and I recognized who he was. It's about like the lady we saw at Lowe's the other day. I didn't recognize who she was because she was dressed different. But when Wayne...
And she's aged.
Yes, she has. And Wayne, I saw him. Now, I think I was told that Wayne had crossed over before his mother did. We were a well-known family. I knew all the people on our street all the way up to certain ports and everybody's house. I knew who lived there and the names and everything. And that's the way the neighborhood was in those days. But I looked at the guy, I looked at Wayne, and I motioned to him, come over to me. And I let him know in my sleep that I couldn't talk to him loud because if I did, I would wake you up. And I said, I know you. And he looked at me, he didn't recognize me because he hadn't seen me in a long time. But in spirit, I could look at his eye. He looked just like Wayne, but he's between 25 and 30. And he was taller than I am, which he always was. And he came up to me, and I was in the car, like I was in the car, and I rolled the window down. And I looked at him, and I said, I know you. And I did sign language with him. I said, Hart. Then I spelled my name out to him, Clifton. And I was hoping he would catch on to the wind of what I was saying. And I said, Wayne, I knew your family on Cherry Street. I know you, Wayne Campbell. I know you. And Wayne stood there and looked. And I began to give him more detail. But he, just as I faded back over on this side, I could tell that he was catching on to who I was. So what we're talking about now is great clouds of witnesses.
Yeah.
We are talking, I mean, hey, you come to the place where I used to fly over college campus of Greensboro College, like, and I would always go over into the other side, and the gymnasium would be down in the lower section, and you could see the top of it, but you go around to the front and go down the steps into the gym. And there was a light being that walked as the glory and presence of God was my trainer. And I never did care much for basketball, but he was training me as a spirit being to play basketball. And then there were other times I could meet him there anytime. And then there was other times that I could go over to campus, and once in a while I could feel my wings flapping. And as I come over, my wings and my flight made a certain sound. And the students were on a break between classes, and they were standing out on the campus talking, and they heard, I mean, it was a bunch of them that knew the sound of the light being wings in the air. And they all turned and waved, and I waved. I find myself waving at a lot of people in my sleep that I see on the other side, that I know that when I talk to them, they recognize who we are.
Yeah. Pearl says this. Hey, Sister Pearl, she says, birth and death is not in the kingdom. So where did it come from? Because we are spirit. Well, we know where it came from. It came from this concept that we had of separation when we came into this earth plane. And so it is the law of this earth plane. We think we began at birth, and we think we end at death. That is the consciousness of separation.
That's true. That's true.
And she said, there is nothing that the outer world conditions cannot touch or change our essence. Yeah, that's exactly right. Good morning, Marquesa. And then Kelly says this: these are master classes, and we are in the presence of our guides and sages from the other side. We're in the circle of sages, Kelly.
Yes,
that's
we
what
are.
We are. We're in the circle of sages.
The reason why we pull aside these moments, which we don't have to, but we love to, because it clears the acidity of the constant
acidity.
Yeah, acid. It clears the pipelines, or the buildup of residue of this dimension as weight. A lot of people, when they leave their bodies, they are lighter. And see, that's what Jesus operated in when he walked on water. He was not heavy.
Right.
And you'd be surprised how the muscles of our spirit self, metaphorically speaking, develops itself to walk, to get used to carrying the weight
that's in this world.
These bodies. I feel the presence of angels or something that's working around us for real now. I mean, not just talking. I sense that presence now in the room, and I can hear the communication of the cloud of witnesses standing around us and over us as we on this telecast today. There's a special manifestation of angelic light beings around all of you, as Miss Kelly said, masters, but they are actually, and I'll tell you what I sense, they want to be able to communicate with us on a normal 24/7 in this dimension. It's kind of like
Well, and that's not to become spooky
No, 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 no,
spiritual
no.
or
No.
spiritually
Mm-mm,
obsessed.
mm-mm.
I know some of us can get to that
Yeah,
point,
yeah.
but we're not encouraging that or endorsing that. What we're saying is that you are so vast, much more vast than just being in this meat suit.
You are listening to this because there's a taste in your mouth. Okay, I got it. He just said this. Do you know every one of you guys have actually the original spirit? Now I'm talking. You have the original essence of the tongue of Jesus.
Mhm.
And in that tongue is a universe of God that is actually tasting the glorious avenues and the glorious taste of the sweet Savior attributes of God in your, what we call it, olfactory functions of empathicness, of the ways of God that is only made aware through the universe on your tongue. I just feel like saying that. I feel like talking like that because it is so awesome to know that we are the tongues of the Spirit.
Yeah, well, we're oracles.
We are the tongues of
We are the
fire.
we are the tongues of fire. Yeah,
Ooh,
yeah,
wait. I
yeah.
could a step right now.
Now,
Mm.
Diaquin asked the question, can you, when you say, how do we open communication, with whom and with what? You need to add that to me, for me, so we can address it properly.
How do you open communication?
Mm-hmm. And Marquesa said, this is what I was sending today. Yes. Or sensing, she said,
Okay.
sensing today.
Okay, here it is. It took, we've been in this old 50 some years.
Mm-hmm.
And the God, I would say, in the low key spirit analogy of the desire, has always put a taste in my mouth to want to find out more of what we're talking about, sensing and knowing. Now, there is such a thing as the grace of God automatically revealing these things to you. Then there are some of you would have to be around somebody that's already in that, and it is called the smear off.
Now, she responded by saying, the communication, how do you open communication with the angels and the sages
Okay,
and the
okay. You
masters?
start talking to them.
And
That's
and
it.
trust that you are already receiving the information. That's, I think,
But you have to be
I,
ready.
I think it's I think it's important that you understand that it's mixed in with all of your human thoughts. In
Yeah,
that,
and
it's
yeah,
mixed
yeah,
into
it
your
is.
human
And
thoughts.
and see, in my case, what I have done this is what Jesus meant, except to become his children.
Mhm.
I've always talked like, thank you.
Yeah, yeah,
When I
yeah,
would be out there looking
yeah.
for something on the floor, I deliberately, when I'm walking, I make myself aware that somebody in the heavenly realm
Mm-hmm,
is
mm-hmm,
walking with me.
mm-hmm,
I said, "Come
mm-hmm.
on, let's go."
Well, and I think that, or you and I learned a long time ago, and I won't say this is a gift or anything like that, but we talk to God constantly, just conversationally,
Here's what he said.
all day, and no matter what we're doing, we when we're doing anything, we talk to spirit. We just talk to spirit.
We are God's marketplace in the market. We are God's social life in the annuals of shopping and expressing gratitude, of being so close, so knit together like the threads in his robe. We are so intrigued that the desire for us to want to communicate with these beings like Jesus was on the Mount of Transfiguration, our conversation is stirring up in you. That's why you make the statement.
Yes, that's it.
Because
That's it.
that is a desire.
Yes.
And what I start doing is like we used to call it practice in the present. That's it. That's
Yeah,
it. That's it.
yeah. And
That's it.
I'll give you an example. It's not real. It's not something you would think of as real spiritual. It's not a. It's not. I'm praying all day. It's not that kind. Like for instance, when he's doing sewing out and he's sitting in the garage and he's making his clothes, he'll talk to spirit about how should I do this, or just conversationally. And like when I'm doing my bathroom, and I talk when I'm doing the bathroom.
And sometimes I say, I want to see you.
Yeah, and I say now, and I'll say things like, "You got to help me with this."
Yeah.
And I don't know if I can get down here and do this, but you got to help me with this. This is the kind of thing. And one of the things that I've been hearing for the last week, 2-3 weeks or more, is the same thing from spirit, and it's don't rush the process. Don't rush the process, and it's been applicable to everything I've been doing. Don't rush the process.
Okay.
So sometimes there's nothing coming. There's no reciprocation in the conversation. There's no reciprocation coming from God necessarily as a voice or as a sentence or a phrase, but it's just a knowing.
There is a place where the Ancient of Age that you have always been will come down the middle path of the left and right brain, and a super construct of a bridge is erected, and consciousness comes to the place where it is no longer difficult to walk that bridge.
Yeah.
You can go across the bridge, or consciousness as God comes back across the bridge. To finally, you spend so much in this awareness across that bridge that the bridge itself becomes the passage,
the communication,
and it becomes the word of God. The bridge itself. Indiana Jones' Last Crusade with Harrison Ford in that movie. As you look at it, you'll see that there was a knight around the round table he'd been over the other side of this valley for years, and he was well up in age, thousands of years. And Indiana Jones found out how to conquer all the feats to get across to this bridge.
Yeah.
And when he got to that valley, he couldn't see the bridge. But wisdom, here we go. Here's the key to this, what you're asking.
He didn't see a way to get to the other side.
But the wisdom appeared to him, said, pick up some sand and throw it out over the valley. And when he did, the bridge appeared. It was always there.
And before he even picked up the sand and threw it out on the bridge, the thought went through him that there's a bridge there. I just can't see it.
I have a little talk with Jesus.
And there's a bridge there. I just can't see
and have a little talk with yourself.
Yes.
So the knight around the round table was on the other side waiting for him. But all the rest of them that got over there, they either got cut off, cut up, messed up through the cave that they had to go through to get to this bridge. But Indiana Jones, and the wisdom of the spirit, found out how to conquer these feats, death-defying razors and sharp things that would kill the average man. Listen to this. God is talking to you now from hip to hip, breast to breast, mouth to mouth.
Yeah.
Glory be to God.
You just read from
Moses
about Moses, how that God would speak to the prophets in dreams and visions. But to Moses, he didn't speak that way.
He didn't. No, he said he wasn't.
He spoke directly.
He said mouth to mouth.
Yes.
You are the mouth to mouth. Here we go.
And so then you said this. You said so there is a position that's higher than an apostle.
Yes.
Higher than a prophet.
Yes. Yes.
And that position is
a
friend of God.
Thank you. he said to me in the council room, he said, I speak to you not as a disciple, but as a friend.
As a friend.
Now God is ready to let you see the intimacy
Yes.
of what it meant
Yes.
when he said to Moses, no man can see my face and live, but he said, I let my backside come in front of you. But now when God comes with us in this veil that has been split from top to bottom, we are now ready to say to God, stop, stop. In the name of love, I am ready to see your face. And when he turns and look, the face that you see on God and the color of his eyes or the color of your eyes and the face that you see when he turn and look at you, he said, no man shall see me and live. Get ready to die to your birth certificate,
Yes.
because you getting ready to see God in your true identity.
Yes, 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 yes.
In your true identity.
So it's all about intimacy, isn't it?
It is.
It's all about cultivating that
I
intimacy.
want to take you up on the mountain and show you the path that Moses walked. And you will find out the feeling in your feet that you have walked this path many lifetimes, and you have not wearied in your journey over the rocks and the stones. For many times you walked up this hill and this path to the Mount Sinai of your pure self. Yes. And you went through the turns and the stones, and a few times you felt that you had stumbled backward, but I was there in your form, picking you up and putting you back on the path. I am the pathless path that brought you up to the mountain from the very beginning to see the flaming fire of the glory of my commandments that I burned into your heart and into your spirit. Therefore, not having to look for these rules again, I have made you to become a love life, word of love, life law unto you and unto yourself and the presence of God. And now you can, anytime you get ready, transcend and teleport yourself into this place of seeing your true self in the face of God, and you'll be able to say to God as a friend and not as a distant stranger, how grateful you are in this revelatory sight.
Wow. I'm going to read one last thing. That was so good. That was so good. Here he says, I know that the answer to what I should be doing is to see the word yes in my inner screen.
Yes.
Yes, I am listening.
Yes.
Yes, I am paying attention. And most important, yes, I am willing. I notice that those around me who feel uninspired are usually unwilling to say yes to the feeling at the core of their being. He said, I see spirit in virtually everyone I meet as I'm more and more inspired. And I feel much more connected to everyone as a result of sensing their spirit instead of noticing all of the accumulations of their success or other personality traits. I call this seeing with my heart and not my eyes. It now seems that my identity is associated with experiences that are not exclusively of this world. And I love what my heart sees, possibilities and openings for miracles.
Wow.
That's good. That's good.
You had to go through what is called the orientation room. And in the orientation room, it's like you going into the auditorium just before you transition from the 6th to the 7th grade and junior high school, and then from the junior high to senior. You have to go through orientation for the facilitators, which would be the teachers, calling you out by name. Now watch this. In every lifetime, my God, in every lifetime, your facilitator gave you a name. On the list of the paperwork of God, went down through there and called your name, Joe, Renee, Snipes, Jill. And you knew then by the tone of the facilitator's voice the mentor. You were all mentored. We were all mentored for this course before stepping into the womb. Been inside the womb many thousands of times. Sometimes we came in the summer, sometimes we came in the winter. We picked the date and the month and the year in this dimension to come forth into the womb. When we got in there, we decided to check it out to make sure that the suit that we picked would fit. But if we didn't fit the one that we picked, we'd go back and come again. And when we come back, we'll be ready for the full implementation of the presentation, of the orientation, of the investigation, of the nobleness of the wisdom. Now I speak the wisdom of God, and I call it forth in full array. Let the wisdom of God do a dance in your feet, and a hop and a jump in your step, and a joy in your heart. And may the wisdom of God begin to burn like the red, yellow, and golden blue fire around the heart of Jesus. And may it come forth in the full impact today. And you shall hear the voice of your heart clearer than you ever have. This is taking place right now.
This is what Christmas is.
It's Christmas.
This is what Christmas is. Yes. Christmas is not celebrations or parties, or it's not even gifts.
This is a wonderful time of the
Christmas.
year.
Yes, it is. By the way, and I hope you're going to join us, we will be having our Christmas service, not on that Sunday, which is, well, Christmas falls on Sunday. We'll be having our service on Christmas Eve at 7:30. Hopefully you guys are finished with your last minute shopping by then, and you'll be able to tune in with us.
Please
and we hope that you will continue to join us. And while you're with us right now, go ahead and hit that like button. Jill always reminds us, because she always puts in there what we ought to do, because I forget. I always forget. But go ahead and hit the like button if you would. Hit that like button, and
I sense the unction of the Spirit.
Yeah, I know. Me too.
I'm looking forward to hearing from you guys in the mail. I'm looking forward for hearing from you guys through transporting through the mail buggy, the UPS, FedEx. I'm looking for God through, in, and by you to become and make yourself such a wonderful miracle of blessing to somebody that you meet, see, hear, and love.
Yeah. And I want to encourage you guys to continue to give to Cornerstone.
Thank you.
Which is still a virtual church and has its own expenses. So if you want to give directly to Cornerstone, you can go to the website, which is thecornerstonelifecenter.com, or you can text CLC Greensboro to 73256 or paypal.me/cornerstone35. If you can't do any of that, or you don't want to do that, you can always mail it to P.O. Box 36259. That's Greensboro, North Carolina, 27416. And to bless Pastor and I, of course, we thank you for all of your gifts that you've given us over the whole year of 2022. Thank you so much. You can always go to Cash App, $A Sawyer C, and paypal.me/ACE Sawyer 72. And I think I'm getting ready to open up another means of giving to Pastor and I through Venmo. I'm working on that now. So if you want to do that, we thank you so much in advance. And as a matter of fact, the subscription is coming due for this platform in January. So we would love to have you guys help to bring that, give us the money for that. And I think it's about $200 for this subscription for a year. But thank you for your giving. We want to bless you. We love you. And spread the word in case you guys know somebody that watches the live stream with us on Sunday, and tell them that we'll be doing our Christmas Sunday service on Christmas Eve. Let them know. And we'll be back again on Tuesday, won't we?
Tuesday at
We'll
7.
be back again Tuesday at 7 o'clock.
The glory of the Lord is expressing itself through all of you right now. It's not because of the time of the year, but it's because you have come to a place by the grace of God, ready to receive the full awareness of your undoubting, unwavering, no hesitated self.
No hesitated self. He comes up with all these beautiful sayings, sayings, mystic sayings. We're going to take off here, young ladies and men, and we'll be back again, as we said. He's feeling it already, huh? We'll be back again on Tuesday.
What a wonderful time of the year.
Are you ready to sign off?
No, but anyway, we will. May your Christmas trees be lit up and brighter, and send a message of love to everybody that turn and look at your window. May the joy of the presence of this Christmas be something that fills the space in everyone's life that seemed to be empty. Thank you for your presence and for the love that you are manifested in the physical world.
Okay. You finished?
Yep.
You sure?
I ain't, but I'll be.
All righty then.
All righty.